area in front of the Parthenon Restaurant along Connecticut Avenue. We understand that, as you see from that picture, that police, fire, EMS all on scene at this hour, and we're expecting for the public information officer to give us an update shortly about what exactly happened and when. At this hour, we know that 11 people were hurt in some form or fashion. 8 were sent to the hospital, 5 of them critical, and 3 were treated at the scene. A distinction about this outdoor dining area, unlike some other parts of Northwest Washington where folks have been dining outside, that you might have seen some of those dining areas situated along the street. This, in fact, was on the sidewalk. And based on what we've seen from how the vehicle is positioned up against the building that slammed into this outdoor dining area, it would suggest that the car was traveling northbound on Connecticut Avenue, crossed over, I believe, 3 lanes of traffic coming from the southbound side, ramming into that outdoor dining area and then injuring those people. Again, we're standing by waiting for a news conference that will get underway shortly. There we expect to get many of our questions answered about what was going on inside that car that caused that car to slam into that outdoor dining area. For those of you that don't know, this restaurant, it is well known, has been in the city for years, is a bit of a staple, and sits just right across the street from the Safeway that is a bit of a popular spot there along Connecticut Avenue. This restaurant is just a short distance south of the Chevy Chase Circle that takes you right into Montgomery County. But you can see police there, fire and EMS cutting off that section of Connecticut Avenue, both on the northbound and southbound side as they respond to the situation. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the vehicle right next to the awning for the Parthenon Restaurant. We're told that there was no entrapment. There has been no structural damage to the building itself. But again, a lot of questions as investigators work to put together a timeline. What happened, when, and what were the mitigating factors that resulted in this situation here? Again, 11 people hurt in total, 8 sent to the hospital, 5 of them critical, 3 were treated at the scene. I believe we have our Megan Rivers, who's on the scene right now. She had the opportunity to actually speak with a few people in the area just about what they saw, what they're feeling at this point. Do we have Megan? All right, we're going to work on getting Megan situated in a little bit. But again, we're standing by for that news conference. When we talked with Megan about 15, 20 minutes ago, she told us that from the people that she spoke with, that folks were scared, that folks were deeply concerned. Again, situations like this are exceedingly rare. But we know when these situations do happen, that they can be catastrophic. So it looks like we have Megan Rivers now. And Megan, I was just talking about the conversations that you had with people at the scene now, people that live close by, work close by. No doubt this has left them a bit shaken, kind of understanding some of the early details that we know about the situation.
You're absolutely right, Larry. Yeah, off behind me, you can still see some folks who are outside, possibly may have been impacted by this crashing. But neighbors in this entire community has kind of come out to see what happens because, one, a large stretch of Connecticut Avenue is blocked off. So when you're coming from the Circle, from the Maryland side, coming from Chevy Chase, that area is blocked off. All the way down to Military Road. So that's a few blocks that are blocked off. So that's one reason why people are outside. 2, you have a vehicle that left the roadway, went into an area where people were dining outside, crashed apparently into this cleaners beside it. And so that's, has people outside as well. And then again, neighbors are saying that they don't typically see accidents and that a lot of speeding happens. DC Fire is on their way here now.
We're going to be starting here momentarily. I want to make sure that your microphones.
Yeah, we're going to have to stand. Okay, DC Fire letting us know that they will be giving us this update here soon.
They're going to stand right here.
If you could just bear with us. Again, this is a breaking news scene right now, so DC Fire letting us know that they will be providing an update here a moment later.
All right, so we've gotten
we'll
the
be
2-minute
hearing from DC
warning
Fire
there.
and DC Police? Okay.
Right. So, Megan, we've gotten that 2-minute warning from DC Fire and EMS. That looks like the public information officer is getting us ready for that update. But no doubt, as you mentioned, this has been a scary situation for people that live nearby. But again, the distinction here is that this outdoor dining wasn't on it was not on the actual road itself, that in fact it was on the sidewalk, which is an important distinction to make as they do their investigation, because this is not something that particularly would have been high risk to say, right, compared to some of those other outdoor dining areas that we have seen that are typically located on the street itself. This was located on the sidewalk, and as we mentioned, based on how the car is positioned, that car was likely traveling northbound on Connecticut Avenue and would have had to cross over almost 3 lanes of traffic to then hit that outdoor dining area and subsequently the building. We're told again, 11 people hurt, 8 of them sent to the hospital, 5 of them critical, and 3 have been treated at the scene. Looks like that news conference is getting underway. Let's listen in.
Everybody good?
Everybody got pictures? Everybody good?
Everybody good? Okay. This afternoon at about 12:45, DC Fire and EMS, MPD, were alerted through a 911 call to an accident here in the 5500 block of Connecticut Avenue. When units got here, they found a car had driven into the outdoor eating area, and ultimately, we've transported 8 people to the hospital, 5 of them with life-threatening injuries, and 3 of them with non-life-threatening injuries. So that's where we are at this point. The scene's safe. We've also taken care of 3 other people on the scene who were not transported to the hospital. And we're beginning to make sure the scene's stabilized and support MPD in their investigation. At this point, I'll turn it over to MPD. They can give you a little more information, and then we'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Give me 1 second, Commander. Thank you, Chief.
Good afternoon, my name is Duncan Bailey. I'm the commander of the 2nd District with MPD. And today at about 12:18 hours, we did get a call for an accident in this location. Let me first say, all indications are that this was truly accidental. There was no indications that this was intentional. Unfortunately, the driver of the vehicle that was involved was operated by a person who lost control. That aspect of losing control is under active investigation by our major crash investigations team. The driver of the vehicle was driving alone, and he was an elderly male. He's remained cooperative, and again, there are no indications that this was intentional in any form or fashion. I'd like to thank all the public that alerted officers in the area just a block north. They honked their horns, they flagged the officers down, and we were able to get here right away and secure a scene. And of course, it's a very sad area where we know people have lunch every day, but it really helped us, and we thank the public for that information. Thank you.
Commander, was the gentleman in the car, the driver, was he coming out of the Exxon station?
It's very preliminary, but right now we don't believe so.
Do you know which direction he was going?
We know he was operating on Connecticut Avenue right now, and we believe it was a northbound direction on Connecticut.
Was he driving alone?
Yes, he was driving alone.
Was he transported?
Right now he's remaining cooperative. He's received treatment, not transported to an area hospital.
Did he tell you what happened?
Yes, there's some information that he's providing. Again, he's very cooperative. It was truly an accident from what we can tell right now, and our major crash investigations team is taking the lead on this case. So given the fact we got video here, and I know so many citizens frequent this area, please call us if you have information. You can call us at 202-727-9099 at our command information center. You can text it to us at 50411. And just a real tip, if you have video and you're not sure where to send it, just send it right to text at 50411.
Any children injured?
Right now we have all reports of adult victims.
The people who were hurt, where were they? Outside, inside?
They were outside.
Sitting down outside the restaurant?
Early reports indicate that everybody was sitting outside near the vicinity of the restaurant.
What stopped the car?
The car's momentum stopped on its own.
Do you think speed may have been a factor in this, or he just maybe lost control of the vehicle, or?
We believe it was accidental and that control was ultimately lost. Accidental.
So you believe he was coming northbound on Connecticut Avenue in his vehicle. He's driving alone, and then suddenly, what happened?
Early indications are he was driving northbound. Again, we're going to have to piece this all together. So we know that he lost control, and he's cooperating, and we're going to continue to talk to him. And again, anybody that has information, please send it to us. Thank you.
He's elderly. What age range is the driver?
At this point, I'm not able to disclose that right now.
All the victims are still alive?
Right now, I'll defer all questions about the patients to DC Fire. But again, this is active as preliminary. And thank you very much. Again, if you have information, please text it to us at 50411 or call us at 202-727-9099. Thank you.
Chief, you declare this a mass casualty incident? What does that mean, and what response was there?
So we declare a mass casualty incident, sometimes at a certain number of patients, but most importantly, when the resources we're going to need more resources at the scene to take care of everybody here, and that was obviously the case here. You had about 12 people right off the bat that were presenting as injured, so we looked at all of them.
Do you have an age range on the patients?
A lot of our ages go from about 30 to 80.
Can you talk about their conditions?
So we took 5 people to the hospital with critical, life-threatening type of injuries. I don't have any updates on them once they've gotten to the hospital yet. And then we took 3 patients to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Were they all transported to the same hospital?
Oh no, you have to spread that out so we don't overwhelm the hospitals. So we've taken people to hospitals across the city.
Can you explain DC Fire and EMS response in a situation like this?
So we had about 16 units here. There was the initial report is an accident that gets a fire truck and an ambulance right away. And as information grows, they added resources to that before anybody arrived on the scene. Once the units got on the scene, they had, I think we had about 8 transport units here, plus the fire trucks to help give care, plus a rescue squad, plus the chiefs that it takes to manage an incident like this. We did have our buses, our mass casualty buses en route, and they were turned around because we didn't need them because of the units that were here.
Commander,
Can you explain the mass
have you
casualty,
seen
why we
video
call it mass
of this incident? Do you know that video exists of what happened?
I have not yet seen video.
Do you know that video exists of what happened, though?
That's part of our canvas and our investigations. Again, I'll say to anybody that was nearby, you can send it to us, text it right to 50411. We welcome that information.
From a traffic standpoint, several blocks blocked off on Connecticut Avenue right now. How much longer do you guys think this scene will be here? You still have folks who you're assessing.
So I think the investigation is what's going to drive how long this goes. Fire and EMS will be cleaned up and out of here pretty soon.
Can you just talk to me about the magnitude of the scene? Is something like this rare, especially with no structural damage in this case?
So this is rare. This isn't the type of call. We haven't had an incident like this in many years. So a car hitting a crowd of people is a very serious event. It obviously, as we see, it's a tragedy that results in a lot of injuries, serious injuries. So that's what we're dealing with right now.
And again, just no structural damage at all.
No structural damage at all.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
If we have any
Mayor.
updates for you, we'll get them to you as soon as we can, okay?
Thank you.
All right, so we just got some information there from the fire chief as well as from DC Police on that situation that we've been talking about this afternoon. A little after 12:45, they got word of an accident along the 5500 block of Connecticut Avenue, the Parthenon Greek Restaurant, where, as we heard from officials there was a gray vehicle, believe a sedan, traveling at this point, they believe, northbound on Connecticut Avenue. That driver, an elderly man, had some sort of medical event or some sort of issue that they're still trying to figure out, crossed over 3 lanes of Connecticut Avenue and hit those dining outside in front of that restaurant. Megan Rivers is also at that news conference, and we're going to talk with her in a bit. But it's important for us to recognize that police and fire officials are really in the early stages of their investigation, trying to figure out what was the mitigating factor that caused that driver to lose control, then subsequently go over 3 lanes of traffic and hit multiple people that are injured. Again, 11 people were hurt, 8 were sent to the hospital, 5 of them critical, 3 were treated at the scene. And so as we've heard from investigators there's been no structural damage to the building, but they're still trying to figure out what caused the situation. Early indications, as they tell us, appears that this is an accident. But they still want to work through that to make sure that what they believe to be true right now is in fact true. And so they're calling out to the public, asking for information, videos, tweets, whatever you have that could potentially aid them in their investigation as they try to figure out what exactly happened and when. You can see in that video the way that car is positioned. We told you initially that we believed that it was traveling northbound, and that was in fact corroborated by officials at the scene. Megan Rivers asked a question to officials there about what type of impact this is going to have for the rest of the day. And we are told that they're going to be out there for some while, which is going to be complicating folks that are going to be getting ready for the afternoon rush hour, which kicks off at about 3 o'clock, that this is going to be something that's going to impede your ability to get around town. Let's go to Megan Rivers now. Believes that she's ready. She can give us an update on that news conference. Megan, we got... Okay, looks like we don't have Megan Rivers, and hopefully we can get her so we can go back out to her and talk with her about what her assessment was of that news conference. But as we heard from officials at the scene, they are, at this point, they believe that this was truly accidental. It was actually said about 3 or 4 times from officials there. The driver was not transported to the hospital, but the driver is in fact cooperating with authorities as they investigate this. Let's go to Megan Rivers right now to talk with her. Megan, looks like we got a little bit more insight into where this investigation stands right now.
Yeah, we do, Larry. We learned that the driver was an elderly male and that police and fire believe that it was truly an accident. It's my understanding that the driver is still here on the scene according to D.C. Fire. That's what I was told earlier. He is one of the 3 people who's being assessed right now. But what we do know is that 8 people were taken to the hospital from the scene. According to D.C. Fire and D.C. Police, all of those 8 people were sitting outside of this restaurant. They believe, as a part of their initial and early part of their investigation, they were sitting outside. The ages range from 30 to 80 years old. They were taken to multiple hospitals across the city because they didn't want to overwhelm one hospital. We also know that this was initially called in as a mass casualty event, but it doesn't necessarily mean that someone has died. And so as of right now, we do not know for certain if anyone has died. We do know that 8 living people were transported from this scene to area hospitals. So we're still working to figure out exactly what hospital they were and the condition of those patients, but we do know that 5 of those people had critical injuries. 5 of those people had critical life-threatening injuries. So again, we're still gathering more information, but that's the update that D.C. Fire and D.C. Police were able to provide for us. The district commander out here in this area as well, giving those updates. From neighbors that we spoke with earlier, they say that they see people speeding through this area often. I actually travel this area pretty often myself and do notice that sometimes it is congestion. It is a traffic nightmare. You have a gas station here sometimes where people are coming out to make left and right turns, and it's difficult for them to do so. We also know that a large portion of Connecticut Avenue near the Maryland D.C. line all the way down to Military Road is blocked off. I asked D.C. Police and D.C. Fire how long they expect this scene to be here. I'm told that the fire trucks will start clearing out of this area here soon. Don't know exactly what soon means, but that they will be clearing soon, and then that police will be continuing their investigation, and they'll be clearing this area as soon as they can as well. But that's the latest from here along Connecticut Avenue near the Chevy Chase Lounge. We'll still be out here. We'll tweet out any updates. I'm on Twitter at Meg M. Rivers, and we'll update you on air and online at WUSA9.com. I'll send things back to you in the studio, Larry.
All right, Megan, we appreciate the update. Thank you. One thing that we have to reiterate from authorities there is that they say that this situation and a situation like it is rare, and that something like this is very serious. As we heard from the fire chief, he says that he hasn't seen anything like this in years, and given the influx of people that have been eating outside, he kind of alluded to the fact that, that's something that we should all be thankful for, considering that we have more people outside, that we haven't seen more situations like this, but they take this very seriously and will continue with their investigation. And with that, our coverage will continue on our mobile app.